What is your relationship to spirituality? If you're anything like me, you grew up in a religious household, maybe you learned about spirituality through the lens of religion. What role does religion play in your life today? My name is Kayla Beard. I am a life coach, a Reiki master teacher, and the author of two books about my personal journey walking away from religion and finding a much more meaningful spiritual path free from judgmental critics and traumatic experiences which religion can sometimes bring into our lives. Now, I am not here to bash religion. Actually, the religion that my parents um, taught me a lot, and it was a gift in many ways. But when I made that transition away from childhood and into my adult life, I realized that my personal values and my most authentic identity did not align with the teachings I was raised with growing up in a religious environment. So this was not an easy realization for me. And that's why I have two books about it. I did a lot of self reflecting and a lot of growing, and it took a lot of self love and faith to leap from the nest of religion and trust my own wings to guide me back to the truth about God. And I I don't claim to have the sole truth, but I have the truth that works for me. And maybe for you, maybe you're looking for your own way back to the Creator. Or maybe you're looking for ways to find meaning in life without theology. I think no matter how you frame it, what we're all really looking for is a way back to understanding ourselves, who we truly are. And I'm here to tell you that it is possible to make peace with your past, make peace with your true self, and take responsibility for your future and your present. You can become a conscious creator for your own life. And I'm about to tell you how. Well, I'm about to break down how I did it, and you can decide whether or not that process is for you. Okay, so to really break this down, I have my pen and my paper here, and I'm just going to draw a little graph here to map out how this kind of fits together in my mind. So there are three main skills that everyone needs to cultivate in order to become a conscious creator. And this right here in the middle, this is the ideal you. This is the conscious creator right here in the center. And the first skill that you're going to need is curiosity. Now, this is the ability to interrogate what you already know, plus uncover and learn what you don't know. This may sound like a no brainer, but you'd be surprised. You might be surprised by how little we actually activate our power of curiosity in our daily lives. For example, think about the last time you experienced anger or rage. For me, this was an argument that I had with my romantic partner not long ago. And of course, it was money related. It always is, right? Well, it often is. But for you, it might be something different. Maybe somebody cut you off in traffic or said something that rubbed you the wrong way and you got a little upset. How did you respond to that emotion? Just ask yourself. In most cases, our first response is actually more of a reaction. We just react to whatever it is we're feeling. We usually don't really spend that much time thinking about it uh, unless we're thinking about it after the fact. We're in regret, right? At that, in my example, I kind of snapped at my partner. I blew up. I said some things that I didn't mean. And then I was regretful afterwards. I was remorseful thinking about it. But that's not how I prefer to approach situations like that. Of course, it's human. Everybody has that kind of instinctive reaction. But what if you responded to an emotion like rage with curiosity? Instead of just reacting, you could ask a question like, where is this anger coming from? Where am I feeling this anger? Where is it showing up within my body? And these are the types of questions that will lead you to a deeper understanding of who you truly are and how you are showing up in the moment. And that is the kind of deeper understanding that leads to the self awareness, that empowers you to be a fully conscious creator in your life. So, that is what I'm talking about when I say curiosity. It's a really critical skill. The next skill that you need to develop on this journey is confidence. And I'm going to put that in this bubble here. And when I say confidence, I'm not talking about self esteem. In this case, confidence is the ability to identify what it is that you know and how you know what you know. So, to give another example, when I was, from a very young age, I was taught that red meat is bad for you. In my childhood, that was all I heard growing up. Meat is bad for you. And these days, doctors and nutrition experts all kind of have different opinions on this. So it's a little bit of a controversial thing and there's no consensus. But generally, it's said that meat, red meat is not the thing that you want to be eating every day. But again, it kind of depends, right? But in my life, for me, I grew up Seventh-day Adventist. And in the Seventh-day Adventist church, a big part of those teachings is promoting a vegetarian and a vegan lifestyle. So I grew up listening to my elders always talking about the benefits of eating a vegetarian or vegan lifestyle and the potential harms of eating meat and specifically eating red meat. It's, that kind of conditioning was baked into me. No pun intended if you heard the food pun that I just heard. Anyways, regardless of what the science said, we didn't really choose our diet based on the science. Our diet was shaped and defined by specific passages in the Bible where God outlines for, I think, for the people of Israel or for Paul or Peter, he gives a list of foods that are acceptable and unacceptable to eat in certain verses in the Bible, and those verses were the foundation for how we shaped our diet growing up. So I know what I know about red meat, and I know how I know this. I know how I came to learn this information. And that self awareness, whether the information is true or not, that's a separate exploration. But the fact that I know what I know and I know how I know it, that self awareness and understanding of self is what I'm talking about when I talk about confidence. Okay, so the third thing that you absolutely need to have is going to be conviction. If you're going to be a conscious creator in your life, you need to have conviction. Okay. And when I say conviction, I'm talking about the ability to affirm what it is that you would like to know, regardless of the wishes or convictions of other people. This is actually something that I discuss in more detail in my book, which I happen to have right here. But when I say affirm what you would like to know, I'm talking about the truth that aligns with your soul values. So, most of us were given or taught a set of values from an early age in our childhood. And these values are based on a lot of factors like culture and familial opinions, our opinions of the people around us or our environmental conditions, right? Parents might have told you specifically or something you learned in school could become a personal value of yours. Or sometimes, actually, a lot of times, we develop these values unconsciously and unintentionally as a response to something that happened to us or something that we observe in the world. Now, morality is kind of tied to this idea of values is very connected to morality, but morality is subjective. So we're not going to talk about that today. For this purpose, it's important for you to understand that as a conscious creator, you would be able to choose. You have the power to choose the values that apply to you in a conscious way. And you can choose these based on, you know, the essence of who you are, which you can discover for yourself. And you have to get curious about yourself and ask deeper questions. And you have to develop confidence in your own self knowledge in order to really understand your own values and be able to gain that conviction to affirm those values, regardless of the expectations or, the wishes or hopes of other people. Another way to think about it is that conviction is the difference between saying, I think I might vote in this election this year, or saying, I am definitely, absolutely voting for so and so this year. That second statement, that is backed by conviction. And that's what you need to be able to cultivate in order to be a conscious creator. Are you with me? Do you feel what I'm saying? Okay. We're going to go ahead and move on. Now, I want to say I can go into a lot more detail about all of this, and I actually will be breaking this down in more detail with a group in an upcoming course called S.U.R.E.A.L, which is based on my book, Surreal Faith. And so, if you're interested in that, I'll talk more about that at the end of this. But for now, for the sake of time, I'm just going to keep moving because I want to illustrate how these three core skills can connect to empower you to become a conscious creator in your life. So, these are the skills that you will need in order to consciously create your mission, your truth, and your world. Now, when I say your mission or my mission, what I'm talking about is the things that you do, the actions that you take in this world. Okay? And that is something that you can opt into. You have the power, you have the opportunity to choose those actions that determine your mission in this life. And in order to do that, it is critical for you to develop curiosity and confidence so that you can understand how your own self-knowledge and the knowledge that you don't have, maybe the knowledge of other people, can align with the ways that you express yourself and the ways that you serve your community. Okay. Similarly, you will need confidence and conviction in order to understand and affirm your truth. And when I say your truth, I'm talking about what you believe. So, as I mentioned in my book, and as we'll talk about in the course coming up, there is a difference between objective truth and subjective truth. And you probably already know this. If you think about the question, is the sky blue? The answer is going to depend on who you ask, right? The subjective truth, subjectively, the answer may be yes, or it could be no, depending on which window you're looking at. Objectively, the answer is a little more complicated because it depends on what you mean when you say blue or what you mean when you say sky, right? Because the sky, as we perceive it, is really a collection of different layers of various gases and particulate matter that make up Earth's atmosphere. And when we talk about the color blue, we're really talking about the way that the human brain processes different frequencies of light. So I'm not a scientist, but I know a little bit about that. And that's something that you can kind of explore on your own if you're curious. But the objective truth is a lot more complex, and it's typically a lot more complex than any one human's perception of it. In this instance, when I'm talking about your truth or my truth, I'm talking about the subjective truths that you choose to accept in your personal reality, not an objective truth that applies to everyone. Okay? So you also have to, just as you have the power to choose into or create your mission, and you have the power to choose your truth, which is what you believe subjectively about the world, you have the power to create your world. And when I say your world, another way to say this, I'm thinking about the things that you see, what you see in the world around you, or how you perceive reality. For example, you may not be able to actually physically shape or define the shape of the planet Earth, right? But you may be able to perceive the world as a spherical globe or a flat disc or a bubble on the back of a turtle or whatever based on how you choose to perceive reality, right? So your perception is up to you, even though you can't necessarily define objective reality. You have a subjective perception of the world. And that's what we're talking about when I say that you can be a conscious creator of your own world. Okay. And again, we're not here today to talk about morality or the objective truths in this reality. That's not really what this is about. This is a super brief outline of a larger concept. All right. So I just want to remind you that this is not meant to be a theory of everything or anything like that. But in order to be a conscious creator of your world, your personal perception, you definitely need to have curiosity. Okay, you got to keep an open mind about the things that you know and the things that you don't know. All right, and you also really need to have conviction about the values that are going to shape your reality. Again, this is a very basic breakdown of the 3 skills that you will need if you want to be a conscious creator in your own life. And the ways in which these skills really connect to empower you to define or create your mission, your truth, and your world for yourself. Okay. Now, this has been kind of a lot. I mean, depending on who you are, this might have been a long time to sit and listen. So I hope this was uh, logical. I hope this makes a little bit of sense. And you might be sitting and thinking to yourself, how do I know if I've already got curiosity and confidence and conviction? Those sounds like things that I could have. Maybe I already have enough of that. Or how do I build these skills for myself or develop more of any one particular skill? And I'm here to tell you there are many, many ways that you can cultivate these skills for yourself. You can develop them, you can, improve them. And we can talk more about those. And I will be talking more about some of the methods that you can use to build these skills in my upcoming course. So you can visit theharmonicspirit.com and register for the S.U.R.E.A.L course. That's S-U-R-E-A-L, S.U.R.E.A.L. And this course begins on October 3rd, 2024. At least this is the first iterance of the course that I'm doing. It begins on October 3rd. And this will be a 12-week uh, coaching experience where I'm going to be guiding a small group of people like yourself and like me through a step-by-step self-exploration adventure based on the 5-step system which I outline in my book, S.U.R.E.A.L Faith. So it's called S.U.R.E.A.L Faith, How to Find Spirit in a Sea of Confusion. If you want to get the book, you can order it now on Amazon, and you can just kind of flip through. The last chapter is where I talk about the S.U.R.E.A.L system. So you can order the book and just read more about, what this system is all about and how it works. And if you want to dive deeper and work together with a group of other people like yourself, you can join me for the S.U.R.E.A.L course. Again, you can order the book on Amazon, or you can register for the course at theharmonicspirit.com. And you can also, on the website, when you're there, you can learn more about the book and more about me if you're interested. Or if you don't want to do any of that, but you do still want to learn more, you can follow the link at the end of this video or down in the description for a part 2 of this free series where I will continue using this map here and break down some of the there's actually 9 fundamental steps that you need to take in order to build these skills within yourself. So if you're curious about that, move on to part 2. And until then, stay curious.